So, the moment you see that positive pregnancy test, your mind starts racing, right? And there's one question that just pops up above all the others. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can answer it. This is it. This is the big one. You've got this amazing, life-changing news, and the very next thing you want is a date. Something to circle on the calendar, something to look forward to. So how do we get from that positive test to an actual real due date? Well, it all starts with a simple number. The starting point for pretty much every calculation is this number right here, 280. See, the average human pregnancy lasts about 280 days. But here's the part that can be a little confusing. That count doesn't start from when you think it might. It actually begins from the very first day of your last menstrual period, or what doctors call your LMP. Now, why do they do that? It's simple, really. Pinpointing the exact moment of conception is, well, it's nearly impossible. But the first day of your last period, that's a solid, concrete date we can work with. And if you do the math, those 280 days translate into the number you're going to hear over and over and over again, 40 weeks. This is the gold standard for a full-term pregnancy, and it's the main benchmark your doctors and healthcare providers will use.
Okay, so how do we take that 40-week timeline and actually pinpoint a specific day? Well, the most common way is a really simple but surprisingly effective calendar formula that's been around for generations.
It's called Naegele's rule. Sounds a bit fancy, I know, but it's just the go-to method for getting a quick estimate, and it works like a charm, especially if you have a pretty regular menstrual cycle. It's just a beautiful, simple piece of medical math.
And what's so great about this rule is just how easy it is. Seriously, you can do this right now. First, think back and pinpoint the exact start date of your last period. Got it? Okay. Now add 7 days to that date. And for the final step, just count back 3 months from that month. And boom, that's your estimated due date. Let's walk through a quick example so you can really see it in action. Let's say your last period started on September 9th. Okay, step 1 is done. Now we add 7 days. That brings us to September 16th. And finally, we subtract 3 months. So from September, we go back to August, then July, then June. And there you have it. Your estimated due date would be June 16th of the next year. Simple, right?
Now, in the medical world, this date you just calculated has an official name, the expected date of delivery. You'll probably see the acronym EDD on all your paperwork. Think of it as the target date that everyone's going to be working towards.
Of course, you absolutely do not have to do all this math in your head. Let's take a look at how modern tools have made this so much easier, especially for those times when a simple calendar calculation just isn't quite enough. You've probably seen your doctor use one of those little pregnancy wheels, right? They spin it around to find the date. Well, that's really just a physical calculator for Naegele's rule. And today, of course, there are tons and tons of mobile apps that do the exact same thing. You just plug in the first day of your last period, and it instantly spits out your EDD for you. Okay, this is a really, really important question because Naegele's rule and all the apps based on it kind of depend on you having a regular, predictable cycle. So what happens if you don't? What if you honestly can't remember the exact date? Does that mean you can't get an accurate due date? Nope, not at all. And this is where medical technology comes in to give us a much, much clearer picture. When that calendar method just isn't reliable, an ultrasound becomes the absolute gold standard for dating a pregnancy with some incredible precision. So here's the crucial thing to remember. Timing is everything. An early ultrasound, specifically one done in the first trimester, is by far the most effective tool for figuring out a due date. Why is that? Because in those early weeks, all fetuses grow at a very, very predictable rate. This allows for super accurate measurements that can pinpoint the gestational age, often within just a few days. So let's just quickly break this down so you know which method is right for you. The last period method, it's fantastic. It's a quick, easy, and immediate estimate, and it's perfect if your cycles are pretty regular. The ultrasound, on the other hand, isn't an estimate. It's a direct measurement of the baby. It's the absolute best option if you have irregular cycles or if you just don't know the date of your last period. Its biggest benefit is that amazing accuracy early on. All right, now that we know how to calculate the EDD, we need to have a little chat about what that date really means. And trust me, this is a vital shift in how you think about it. It's way less of a deadline and much, much more of a guideline. This chart here does a great job of visualizing what we call the due window. See,
While 40 weeks is the target we all aim for, a healthy, full-term delivery can happen anytime between 38 and 42 weeks. In fact, a tiny, tiny percentage of babies are actually born on their exact due date. The real goal isn't hitting that one day, it's landing somewhere in that healthy, full-term window.
And it is super important to remember that your EDD isn't set in stone. Don't be surprised if it gets adjusted. This is a totally normal part of the process. If later ultrasounds show the baby is consistently measuring a bit bigger or a bit smaller than expected, your doctor might shift your due date to better match their own unique growth curve.
So, to wrap it all up, here are the big things to take away. First, think of your due date as a really, really well-informed estimate, not a guarantee. The quickest and easiest way to get that estimate is by using your last period. But for the best accuracy, especially if you have irregular cycles, a first trimester ultrasound is the way to go. And finally, remember that healthy due window is wide, stretching all the way from 38 to 42 weeks.
You know, in the end, that expected date of delivery is an exciting milestone, but it's just a single point on a much longer, much more incredible timeline. It gives you a target to aim for, but the real magic, the real experience, is found in all the weeks leading up to it. So, how will you embrace the entire journey? Thanks for watching.